Hi folks, Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about we live in an era of organised and planned insertion of societal destroyers, so social destroyers, societal destroyers that are being inserted into every area of Western life, public service, government, education, everywhere. There isn't I can't walk down the road now without seeing a propaganda billboard. I can't see any advertisement online or on television without seeing propaganda. I can't see any movie without inserted propaganda, any TV program. It is everywhere. And there are paid inserted societal destroyers, people whose job is to demoralize and destroy Western society. To guilt and shame white people, particularly straight white males, and to push it to a point where Western society is so demoralized it is incapable of resisting anything at all, and will offer no resistance when the globalists make their final moves. So I think this is important, and these people are everywhere, and we have to accept, I believe, that if we don't do something about it, then Western society is doomed. Now, when I say societal destroyers, what am I talking about? I mentioned this in a number of other videos where we look at these created poster children, people that wouldn't have made it out of junior high school, but are being given a very credible, indeed a glowing CV, and then they're pushed around and held up as opinion makers, opinion shapers, and propagandists, and they're everywhere. And they've been created as you would create something in a factory, manufactured. They've been manufactured for the sole purpose of being inserted into Western society and being used as instruments of demoralization. So I'm going to look. I've mentioned others in the past, but I'm going to look at one here now. This lady today is a black lesbian activist, but how is she able to acquire this big platform, this big propaganda platform? She's got a massive bullhorn to just scream out across Western society, and would she have got that naturally or through any organic means? Now, I would argue no, that she'd have just disappeared into irrelevance, into the wider society, and would never have achieved anything, and was not capable of achieving anything. So here we go. She's I don't know if she's a lesbian at this point, but she's in high school, not a promising student at all, but gets an affirmative action pass from junior high school into senior high school. Now, she comes from a poor family, so typically a family in that sort of situation would want the children to start work as soon as possible to help out with the family finances. So she'd have typically left school, say between the age of 14 and 15, and she'd have got a job at the local takeout chicken shop or something like that, or something along those lines. And that would have been, her future and her existence. Then being a single mother in the projects and that sort of stuff, that would have been, she was on that trajectory quite firmly. Somehow she gets some sort of a scholarship from some Jewish NGO, and it's amazing how often Jewish NGOs were involved in the creation of these black female societal destroyers. I mean, maybe it's a coincidence, I don't know. And if the money, of a scholarship or something was given to someone on the basis of they were promising students, like a kid who comes from a poor background, but they're pretty bright. And I've come across people like that. And I'm a firm believer in scholarships for bright kids from poor background. Just because they come from poor background doesn't mean they shouldn't go on to do big things if they're, bright, capable students and so on. So anyway, she's not one of those. She would have flunked, any exam that she would have had to stand. But somehow she gets this this scholarship to get her through the final stage of junior high school and through senior high school. Then she gets another scholarship to go to university. Now we're talking about an affirmative action student here, so she's been picked out or selected by the people behind the curtain to be, she's going to be a useful poster child for us. We can use her as a societal destroyer. Maybe she's so angry about everything. Maybe she wants to tear everything down, destroy everything. She's so angry about the whole world. Maybe they propagandized her. Maybe they, professional agitators got in there and got into her head and turned her into a radical. I don't know. It's, she certainly is pushing ideas that she's incapable of conceptualizing herself today. So I would say she was radicalized by some sort of organized program that I would suggest is pushed or furthered or facilitated by the same Jewish NGOs that financed her education or her radicalization. It wasn't education. So she gets a sociology degree from some third-tier university. Again, it's all affirmative action. And you're checking on that particular sociology, like African American studies, where it was. They've got a zero failure rate, even for black kids that don't bother turning up. They still pass them, still give them a degree. So it's got a zero failure rate. That's hardly a crowning achievement. Also at this stage, in the when she's at university, it's also some United Nations NGOs that are getting involved here, and they're doing things like awarding her overseas trips to attend various activist international meetings, the international lesbian feminist movements and things like that. So she's going. This is the time when she supposedly comes out as a lesbian. Then she's awarded a series in quite a rush. Like, she's only 24 or 25 now. She's awarded a series of honorary degrees from Ivy League universities. Very prestigious universities, and she's given these honorary degrees and all sorts of things. She's given an honorary law degree from one of the premier law study universities in the world. Why would they give someone who's got an African American studies sociology degree from a third-tier university? Why would they suddenly give her an honorary law degree from a prestige? Again, this is all organized. This just doesn't happen by accident or something. This is all organized and planned and structured and so on. So she's really being lined up to be the poster child here for the the societal destroyer, as I'm calling it. Then she's gifted suddenly she gets this legal clerkship and a senior clerk, no less, on pretty decent pay for someone with an IQ of 80. She gets given a senior legal clerkship with a feminist activist, lesbian Jewish judge. Now, can we call that a coincidence? I doubt it. The same Jewish judge that has ties back to the Jewish NGOs that funded this black lesbian's education and schooling, paying her family enough money so that they could keep her in school for longer, because we want to use you for something later on, so we'll effectively bribe your family and make sure that you've got all your college fees all paid for. Now, why would you pay the college fees of an IQ 80, black lesbian, unless you want? And what are you going to get out of this? And again, clearly they're using her as a societal destroyer and destabilizer. Now, so she's got this clerkship. Now, around the same time, she magically gets multiple book publishing deals. Supposedly, she's in between all her international trips that are all paid for, and her activism, the supposed legal clerkship for this feminist activist Jewish lesbian judge. She gets all these. She's able to write multiple books. I mean, wow. I mean, holy shit. Now, it's clear she didn't write a word of those. That was all written for her. She's also, at the time, gets endless gigs on the international speakers circuit. So she's now a speaker of international renown, and she's been gifted speaking tours, which she's paid for. I mean, who the fuck would pay this low IQ, angry black lesbian to talk about anything? But this is all lined up for her. Now, so you look at the CV of somebody like this. Now, if you say, now, let's take the CV of what she would have been if she hadn't been created and manufactured out in the back room. So here we've got, Billie Jean. She brought up on the projects, talks like some rural hick, dropped out of school when she's 14, but God damn it, she's angry and she's now a lesbian, hates everybody and thinks all white people are Nazis. So that's our speaker today. People go, what? What the fuck? Why the fuck are we going to listen to her? Nobody would listen, of course, quite reasonably. Who'd want to listen to that? But now let's look at her CV today. All of it created and manufactured, none of it real, none of it down due to her ability or capabilities or brain power or IQ or anything like that. So now we've got Billie Jean, who's has degrees from prestigious international universities and has 2 PhDs, a master's and a bachelor's degree. Is also registered in the Law Society of Science. Has also has published 3 books. He's a published author with three books that have made it onto the bestseller list, and is a speaker who has had 25 speaking engagements in the last 2 years, and is on the speakers circuit of the Such and Such, and has addressed the United Nations Assembly on the wickedness of white people. And so yes, wow. That is a CV. Whoa, what a CV. Holy shit, she's a fucking genius. We should go and listen to that. That's what, wow. And she's on government panels as an advisor to presidents and prime ministers and governors and so on. I mean, she is like, whoa, she is a fucking heavy hitter. And we should sit up and take notice of this person. Now, she plays quite a big role, wherever there's any sort of racial division, particularly where it involves race and sexuality. Then she instantly appears, and not only that, I mean, she's given front page articles or is quoted on the front page of places like the Guardian and the HuffPo, and the radical leftist. She's given in social media, her profile is in terms of the amount of articles and times she's quoted, she's treated as if she's the final word and the expert on the matter. Now, if you listen to her being interviewed or putting forward her views, and there's some quite a few of interviews and so on online, it's clear she's a fucking moron. She doesn't know what day it is. But she just keeps on pushing on all white people are evil, all white society all white people are bad, and we have to reorder society so white people have got no part in it. And she's given an excellent run on all the globalist controlled media outlets, the globalist controlled governments, push her forward as we're going to Billie Jean to advise us on what our racial policy should be. And she's also been a big sort of player in the critical race theory stuff, that it should be taught in schools, and again, what white people should beg forgiveness for their evilness and so on. So she's a big player, but this is all created. She's nothing natural about it at all, nothing organic. Now we need to understand that there are not 1 or 2 or not 10 or 20, not even hundreds, but tens of thousands of these agitators and these societal destroyers all over Western society. If they tried to get away with this in China, they'd be in prison in seconds flat. The West is the globalist control West is the only place where they can do this. And again, their job is to demoralize and destabilize Western society. That is their job. That is what they are paid to do. And the carrot for them is that, hey, I can get back at all those straight white males, and I can accuse them of everything. I need be responsible for nothing. That's hardly the way to create good citizens that have an obligation to the state or anything. But that's what's going on now. You can see these sort of same people that are in government. Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland in Canada. They are employees of the globalists. You look at Rishi Sunak and what's his case, Varadkar in Ireland, and so on. These are all employees of the globalists. Their job is to be Western societal destroyers. That is their purpose. That's what they're paid to do, and they report to the globalists. They don't report to the people who vote for them, or the electors or the voters in their district. None of the voters would approve the mass migration or the critical race theory in schools. Nobody would approve that, or very few. And so they have to bypass their voters. And why not? They report to the globalists are their bosses, the globalists give them their marching orders, and that's kind of how it works. And every Western economy, Western country is controlled by the globalists, and anyone that isn't sufficiently pro-globalist will be removed, or if you can't remove them, neutralized, as they did to Trump when he was president. So we need to just accept that these destabilizers are everywhere. And looking behind the curtain, it's the people that are in the advertising campaigns, the people that are running the banks, all these sort of things, all the propaganda we see, the teachers' unions, the so-called independent think tanks, and so on. They are all now given over to Western societal destruction. And as I mentioned when I opened this, I can't look anywhere at any TV program, any movie or documentary, anything at all, without globalist propaganda being inserted into it. For example, I went to I went to see or online I saw a documentary about a black musician from quite a famous trumpeter from the 1960s. I happen to be quite an admirer of his music, and the first, I couldn't even get past the first 5 minutes. It had nothing but talked about slavery and oppression, this and just absolutely stacked to the rafters with propaganda. Most of it hysterical, most of it inaccurate. And that's before they even got to this guy. I mean, it's supposed to be a documentary about a fucking trumpet player. The fact that he's black is not immaterial, but nor is it relevant. The guy was a great trumpet player, but just focus on that. But instead, no, the slavery and this and that, civil rights. And then they talk about how Martin Luther King was assassinated. And well, this guy had never met or knew anything about Martin Luther King. Why are you drawing a parallel? Well, they're both black. Hey, let's gin it all up. Let's turn it into a race drama and so on. So these societal destroyers are everywhere. And remember, our government that would, our courts and so on, that would in a sane world, the media would push back against all this and expose it for the massive fraud it is, and it is a massive fraud. But they're all controlled by the globalists as well. I mean, give the globalists their due. They've been very thorough in their takeover. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.